Cataclysm patch by patch expansion recap. Let's see what we're in for in Cataclysm, guys. Dude, 2010 felt like yesterday, man. It's in my stream title right now, but like, how was this 14 years ago? My sister texted me yesterday and she asked when I graduated college. And to me, my college graduation felt like it just happened. And I was 2016. It's been 8 years. It's been 8 years since I graduated college.
Is 2010. On Earth, you're using your Windows Vista PC to look up Avatar showtimes, and your Facebook wall is telling you that Lady Gaga is wearing a meat dress. You need to mail your Iron Man 2 DVD back to Netflix, and on the way to the post office, the radio is abuzz about TikTok, the Kesha song. The app hasn't even been invented yet. In Azeroth, you're an absolute boss, having just vanquished entire armies of undead while ending Arthas's reign as the Lich King. World of Warcraft Cataclysm is going live, bringing with it sweeping changes to Azeroth and to many of WoW's systems as Deathwing bursts forth and shatters the world. Fast forward to today, and Deathwing is returning once again in Cataclysm Classic, launching May 20th. A lot has happened since 2010, so let's take a moment to revisit Cataclysm patch by patch for a refresher on the story and some of the features introduced, and take a look at the brand new changes coming in Cataclysm Classic.
Perfect, let's see it, baby.
Patch 4.0.1 was the Cataclysm Systems pre-patch, which introduced several interface and system updates ahead of launch. Reforging was introduced, allowing players to allocate some of an item's secondary stat to a different secondary stat. And
W's or L's in the chat for reforging. Just real quick, W's or L's in the chat for reforging. www. Dude, I like it. I like reforging. I don't mind that it can be annoying sometimes. I like what it adds.
Mastery was introduced, offering a new secondary stat to consider. Spells and abilities changed, removing ranks in favor of simply scaling with character level, and an updated spellbook UI came along with that. Ammo was removed from the game, a nice quality of life improvement for hunters especially, while cloth, leather, and mail users saw their armor become as durable as plate, which normalized repair costs across classes. Patch 4.0.3 brought us the Shattering. Without warning, the corrupted dragon aspect Deathwing erupted from the stone heart of Deepholm, the domain of Earth within the elemental plane. Jagged fissures were torn across the land and monstrous waves pummeled coastal regions. From Thousand Needles to the Blasted Lands, the surface of Azeroth was reforged through violent upheavals. Both Horde and Alliance were forced to defend their homes against Deathwing and his minions, burdened by the unsettling fear that the world as they know it has changed forever. The Shattering saw the continents of Kalimdor and the Eastern Kingdoms reshaped, offering different experiences in previously existing areas and new adventures in never-before-seen zones. 2 races were unlocked, Goblins for Horde and Worgen for the Alliance, and fresh race and class combinations accompanied them. 9 new dungeons were introduced. Blackrock Caverns, a network of tunnels created by Deathwing in the Blackrock Mountains, where heroes face down members of the Twilight Hammer cult. The Throne of Tides, an underwater dungeon and part of the Abyssal Maw that was filled with Naga and Ancients of the Old Gods. The Vortex Pinnacle, located in the Elemental Plane, where armies of air elementals gathered and had to be stopped. The Stone Core, in the Temple of Earth above Deepholm, that had fallen to the Twilight Hammer, with the Mad Priestess Azil in control. The Lost City of Tol'vir and Uldum, which pit champions against the hostile Nefer Set, a faction of Tol'vir created by the Titans to guard their research facilities. The Halls of Origination, part of the Titan research.
Sorry, I have to pause for a second. Does Aeonax spawn when Kata comes out? Like, to whoever just runs out there and gets them, do you get the first one free? Like, is he just out? Yeah, I wonder that too. I just thought of that. He's probably just out there for whoever wants to grab him, dude. If you just rush it. I don't know.
Research facility of Uldum that was once used to develop new races was left full of ancient defenses to protect from intruders. Grim Batol, a once great dwarven fortress that had been occupied by the Twilight Hammer and the corrupted Black Dragonflight, saw champions ride atop dragons to bombard enemies before engaging them in combat on foot. The Dead Mines, once the hideout of the Defias Brotherhood's leaders like Edwin Van Cleef, became the primary Defias stronghold from which new leader Vanessa Van Cleef plotted her vengeance. Shadowfang Keep, formerly home to Archmage Arugal and his Worgen until it was liberated by Horde adventurers, was occupied by Vincent Godfrey, traitor to both Gilneas and the Forsaken, and was a target of both the Alliance and the Horde. 3 new raids saw champions face down some of the bigger threats and allies of Deathwing. Blackwing Descent was the lair of the resurrected Nefarian, son of Deathwing, and the site of the heinous experiments he conducted in attempts to create a new breed of chromatic dragons. Bastion of Twilight was the primary fortress of the Twilight Hammer. Cho'Gall, the leader of the cult, dwelled here, as well as Sinestra, mother of Nefarian and Onyxia, and creator of the first Twilight Dragons, reanimated and overseeing the creation of another Twilight Clutch. Throne of Four Winds was located inside the Skywall and was Alakir's personal lair. With the barrier between the Elemental Plane and Azeroth ruptured, his invasion needed to be stopped. Patch 4.1, Rise of the Zandalari, was the
So I didn't do too much of the PvE in Cataclysm. So in Cataclysm, I was in high school. I was a PvP Andy. I actually just came back to the game. I have told the story before, but I saw a Cata commercial and it said like try Cataclysm for 2 weeks free. And I was like, free? Okay, I'll play. So I started playing for 2 weeks for free and I've been playing ever since. Anyway, the point of the story is I didn't do too many of the raids. I just was PvPing. I got rank 1 in 2v2 in the 2v2 bracket. I was rank 1 duelist, almost a gladiator back then, and just had a really good time. And I found it annoying that I have to raid. Now fast forward to 2024, I'm actually excited to try the raids, just to see, you know, what I missed when I was how old was I, 14 or 15, something like that. Just yeah, to kind of see what's there. I do remember these raids. I did them on LFR, like just normal or whatever, to like get the OP loot like once or twice, but I didn't like actually do them consistently or on the harder difficulties and stuff like that. But I remember like I did like Spine of Deathwing on LFR because there was an OP trinket called Cunning of the Cruel, if you guys remember, that mages needed to farm, and that thing went so ridiculously hard in RBGs because it was like an AoE shoutable. Anyway, I digress. I'm excited to check it out, like actually, versus just like trying to get through it because I want the OP items.
First major patch of Cataclysm. The days where the Great Troll Empire stretched across ancient Kalimdor were long past. Millennia of war and eternal strife have stripped these nations of their power, lands, and glory. As Azeroth recovered from the destruction of the Cataclysm, the world's divided troll population faced a bleak future. These dark times spurred the Trolls of the Zandalar, the historically wise and scholarly tribe from which all trolls originated, to take drastic action. They embarked on a bold crusade to save their race by uniting trolls into a single mighty empire. With the Zandalari's aid, the fallen capitals of the Gurubashi and the Imani nations, Zul'Gurub and Zul'Aman, began rebuilding, replenishing their forces for a bloody campaign to expand their territories. Yet, Vol'jin and his Darkspear trolls were not aligned with the Zandalari. They swore to stand with their Horde comrades, and even work with the Alliance should the trolls ignite a new war on Azeroth. Soon, Vol'jin was forced to act on his promise, for if the Gurubashi and Imani were left to their own devices, the world would know the legendary strength and savagery of the ancient troll empires once again. With the trolls attempting to rebuild and reunite, Zul'Aman and Zul'Gurub were reimagined, becoming heroic 5-player dungeons. Guilds received some attention with the introduction of guild challenges that rewarded achievements and gold for completing various content in a guild group. The Guild Finder tool was also introduced, designed to help players find like-minded friends to tackle these new adventures with. And a very helpful quality of life improvement also came with this patch. The ability to resurrect allies from raid or party frames, instead of having to locate a fallen companion's body in the world.
That's
Patch
nice.
4.2, Rage of the Firelands, was the second major patch of Cataclysm. Across the breadth of Azeroth, the Horde and the Alliance dealt crushing blows to Deathwing's elemental minions and fanatic Twilight's Hammer cultists. Through it all, the Earthen Ring had never wavered from its tireless charge, holding Azeroth itself together amid the tidal fury of errant magical energies that churned at the Maelstrom. Yet, as the elements continued their chaotic upheaval, it seemed that the noble shamanic order might finally be on the verge of breaking beneath the great weight that rested on its shoulders. Even Thrall, for all his wisdom and skill, had grown aggravated by his failure to effectively communicate with Azeroth's elements. Recently, his calls were acknowledged, but the malevolent entity that responded had only intensified Thrall's fears and doubts. Patch 4.2 brought with it a new raid, the Firelands. This molten hellscape in the elemental plane was forged by the Titans to house Ragnaros and his servants. Ragnaros' invasion of Mount Hyjal could not go unanswered, as champions took the fight to his domain. A new legendary item, Dragon Wrath Terragos's Rest, could be obtained after completing.
I only wish I could get this back in the day. Dude, maybe we get it the second time around. Who knows? 314 hit, 271 A's, 2700 spell power, and when you deal damage, you have a chance to gain Wrath of Terragosa, duplicating the harmful spell. Bro, this on like a Fire Mage, or like a Warlock or something, or a Moonkin, in like an RBG setting with Cunning of the Cruel, you would just wipe the enemy team. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you can use this with Ice Lance and PvP, true. Yeah, true. But it was usually better, I think, as Fire, even.
A considerable quest line. This two-handed staff was incredibly powerful, and wielding it was a true testament to dedication. A nice quality of life change improved the durability display's warnings, adjusting yellow to signify 20% durability as opposed to a durability of 5. And access to a wealth of information and lore was added directly in-game with the introduction of the Dungeon Journal. Patch 4.3 Hour of Twilight was the third and final installment of Cataclysm, and its largest content update since launch. In the wake of the Cataclysm, Azeroth's champions rose up to thwart the forces of the maddened Black Dragon aspect, Deathwing. Thus far, the world's defenders had shattered the power base of the Twilight's Hammer cult and defeated the raging elemental lords Alakir and Ragnaros. Yet despite these victories, as long as Deathwing was free to pursue his twisted goals, Azeroth would remain under threat. No one was more aware of this fact than the great dragon aspects such as Dormu, Alexstrasza, Kalikos, and Ysera. Together with the wise shaman Thrall, they devised a plan to vanquish Deathwing with a weapon of his own design, the infamous Dragon Soul. Thrall and the noble aspects would call upon the Horde and Alliance to help him retrieve the artifact, no longer in existence, from the distant past. Those brave enough to face the challenge would embark on a perilous journey from Azeroth's apocalyptic end time to Dragon Soul's point of origin during the catastrophic War of the Ancients. If the heroes succeeded, an even more harrowing battle awaited them in their presence.
Spine of Deathwing.
Hour of Twilight brought 3 new dungeons. Endtime saw heroes visit potential futures that would come to exist should Deathwing prevail, pitting them against visages of corrupted heroes of Azeroth, and ultimately facing down a tormented version of Nozdormu called Murozond, who created the infinite dragonflight and shattered the timeways in an attempt to subvert his own mortality. Well of Eternity flung heroes back 10,000 years in time, just before the Sundering, to assist Illidan and Tyrande in battling the burning.
So this was the patch that lasted like 6 months or something, right? This is like the patch that we remember as Cataclysm, or at least maybe I shouldn't speak for everyone. This is what I remember as Cataclysm. Like you queued up LFR, you got flung off of Spine of Deathwing, people would flame you because you didn't stand on the sticky icky, and like then you rinse and repeat, and you didn't get the loot you wanted. Like this patch was I mean, it was pretty fun, but it lasted a long time.
Legion, as Azshara attempted to bring Sargeras himself to Azeroth. Hour of Twilight saw heroes prepare for the final battle with Deathwing, and fight alongside Thrall to bring the Dragon Soul to Wyrmrest Temple. The final raid, Dragon Soul, continued the fight in the besieged temple through the last of Deathwing's lieutenants and ultimately onto the Destroyer himself, as Thrall, the Dragon Aspects, and the champions of Azeroth attempted to end the Cataclysm once and for all. A new legendary pair of daggers called Fangs of the Father could be obtained.
These were so good in Arena, man. Oh my god.
By rogues after completing a multi-quest chain that concluded with the defeat of Deathwing.
So
and the Raid Finder tool was introduced, offering a quick way for players to form a group for a specifically tuned version of the Dragon Soul raid. With all these epic storylines, legendary items, dungeons, raids, the Cataclysm era was densely packed. But perhaps one of the greatest systems introduced in all of Cataclysm, perhaps one of the greatest systems introduced in all of WoW, came with patch 4.3, Transmogrification. This new cosmetic system allows players to customize their gear like never before by copying the appearance of one item onto another. Gone were the days of mismatched armor and feeling like you had to choose stats over aesthetics. Long live the days of sick mogs and looking as good as you feel. In Cataclysm Classic, the core story and experiences will remain.
Funny enough, a lot of like true classic Andes like hate transmog. Like there's a big population of classic players that are like, it ruins the MMO feel because you can't see what someone has when they walk by. You can't see what quests they've done or what raids they've cleared, right? Like, yeah, there's a lot of people that actually hate it. I'd say more people like it because you get to farm things. It's like a achievement hunter's dream. Like, you actually get to like farm like absolutely everything and look really cool. And there's obviously a lot of positives, but just to display the other side, there are a lot of people that like hate it.
But a few things have gotten some changes. Firstly, things are going to be faster. An increased content cadence will condense the entire expansion into about 1 year, while an expanded pre-patch means the action starts sooner. As of the pre-patch going live, the Shattering has come to Azeroth. The Kazan and Gilneas starter zones are now available, and Goblins and Worgen are unlocked and can be leveled up to 80. Transmogrification is unlocked, as are account-wide collections. New class and race combos are unlocked, along with class updates like talents and spells. Archaeology and reforging are also unlocked.
Oh, I can do archaeology.
Accelerated
Nice.
leveling from 1 to 80 is in place, which will help you roll alts in this faster environment. And flying is unlocked in the newly reshaped Kalimdor and Eastern Kingdoms. At launch, several more iconic features from Cataclysm will come online. 5 zones will be unlocked. Mount Hyjal, Vashir, Twilight Highlands, Uldum, and Deep Home will all be available for 80 through 85 questing. And the 9 dungeons we explored earlier that were part of patch 4.0.3 will all be unlocked, along with a new heroic dungeon system. The Tol Barad World PvP zone that pits Horde against Alliance for the control of 3 objectives will also unlock at launch, as will everyone's favorite fairgrounds, Darkmoon Island. After launch, Throne of the Four Winds, Blackwing Descent, and Bastion of Twilight will make their appearance. And a new flexible raid lock system which allows players to do both the 10 and 25 player versions of raids in the same week.
Okay.
Plus, additional content updates will continue to roll out as the expansion unfolds. Thanks for joining us in this walk down memory lane. Since it's 2024, feel free to enjoy streaming your movies, scrolling 7 different social accounts, and not mailing any DVDs. But we hope to see you for some old school fun in Cataclysm Classic, launching May 20th.
Nice. All right, there it is, boys. Cataclassic. That was a good little recap. It's been a long time. Like, all this stuff is in there somewhere, but it's all confused. It was kind of nice to get that all in order. I'm still a little confused, but I think we know what's going on. And then RBGs, I think, come out next week as well on the 28th, which I'm very, very, very excited about. Should be a great time. But there it is, guys. Expansion recap from World of Warcraft. We're in.